and welcome to another video for Auto Solutions Checkpoint. Today we're going to be focusing on an Audi A3. It's the 8V and it's the third generation 1.4 TFSI. So if you're not sure what the TFSI is, allow me to explain. It's turbocharged. It's got 150 brake horsepower. It's rapid for what it is. For the size of the vehicle, how light the car is, 150 brake horsepower is pretty decent. It's got cheap fuel economy. It's also cheap to insure as well, and it's got cheap road tax as well. But the vehicle all round is very decent. So the main objective for today's video is merely to show you guys at home what you can do before your car goes for an MOT, the things that you need to check. Obviously these are things that would help towards your MOT, so that you know that you've got the peace of mind that them things are okay. It's just down to the MOT tester to tell you what mechanical stuff may or may not need done. And obviously at the end of the video I'm just going to do a little review on the Audi as well, just letting you know my view on it, and hopefully it'll help somebody out there make their mind up if they are going for a new car. So you're checking to see if your side lights are working. So as you can see, both side lights are working. Your main beam, so as you can see, they're both working. Your full beam, as you can see, it's definitely working. Your left hand side indicator, which is your passenger side. Your right hand side indicator, which is your driver's side. And as you can see, they're both working. So you're checking to see if your hazard lights are working, so they're all working. You're checking your left hand side indicator, it's working. Your right hand side indicator, which is also working. Hazard lights. So put your side lights on and check and see if they're working. So as you can see, they're working fine. So you want to see if the number plate lights are also working up here. Perfect. Oh, and before you forget, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, like, share, do whatever you want with it. Tell a friend, tell your family, just get the word out. It'd be much appreciated. So for this next one, you'll need some help from somebody to press the brakes. So you want to be checking to see if your brake lights are working. So you'll have one on this side, one on this side, and a high rise one up the top. All good. So as you can see, the fog lights for the rear are working perfect, and the fog lights for the front are also perfect. So guys, for the next one we're going to be checking the wipers. You want to be checking the wipers for any splits or anything. Just give them a clean down as well, so that you can get a good look at them. If there's any splits, they'll need changed. Right, the front ones are fine. Just need to look at the ones at the rear now. Perfect. So you want to be checking the windscreen for any cracks, and if you do find any bigger than 40 millimeters, so that's 4 centimeters, it will fail. But on some occasions, if the crack, it depends on the crack, you could even have a failure at 10 mil. So just bear this in mind. Just check your screen, even for hairline cracks and that. But occasionally, if it's not within the driver's eye line, which is usually here, some MOT testers would just advise it. Also, you want to be checking your mirrors for any damage. On the tyres, the UK legal limit is 1.6 millimeters, right? So how you know if your tread is not legal, what you want to do is get a 20p piece, right, if you don't actually have a depth tester, right, and see the way you've got a wee band, right, see where the queen's head is, you've got like a wee peninsula here. If you can't see the border, you're fine. But just say, for argument's sake, this was low on tread, right, if you can see that band, that lower band, right, that's a failure. Okay, so please bear this in mind whenever you're checking them over. Also, you want to be checking the edges for any damage, any like rips or anything. Also check for any screws on the tread. Obviously you'll need to move the car forward to check more of the tread, but I just pay close attention to it. Also, tyres can perish as well, so you end up with like wee cracks and that even along the tread. However, on MOTs they would advise that, but I do stress to you, when your tyre starts going like that, just get it changed, because this is a big factor in your protection out on the road. So you want to make sure that your tyres are always kept tip top. Another interesting fact about tyres, you want to be checking how old your tyre is as well. So underneath here, it's upside down, but I'll turn it round for the video. 4221, so that means the 42nd week in 2021. So that's how old your tyre is. I'll just show you the difference between the back, because I know that the back will be older. So the rear one is the 45th week in 2017. So that's how old that tyre is. So as you can see, it does have a bit of perishing round it as well, so they would advise that on the MOT. But you really don't want your tyre looking like this, you really want them looking as good as the front ones. In the engine bay, you want to be checking your levels. Okay, so on this Audi, the minimum line is here, so obviously your level will be at the top here. Okay, so always make sure that that is level with coolant. Also make sure your screen wash is topped up as well. I've got all seasons screen wash in there. You want to be dipping your oil as well. Stick and dip the oil. But the oil level is perfect. You want to be checking your brake fluid. It's fine. Obviously when you're topping, if you need to top your brake fluid up, always follow instructions and make sure you're using the right brake fluid. .4. Also, you want to check your battery tray and make sure that your battery is safe with no movement. Okay, so that's nice and solid. Everything is in decent order as well. Okay, you want to check and see if your rear washers are working, which they are, they're working perfect. So you want to be checking your front washers. Perfect. And they've got decent coverage, they don't need adjusted. So check the condition of your belt for any rips, tears or wear, because obviously things like this here can implicate your MOT pass. You'll end up with a big fail. You want to check it in the buckle, right, and you want to be doing the brake test. Perfect, it's got good reflex on it. So you want to do that with the rest of them. Okay, as you can see, it's already been done. Also, definitely before you put it in for an MOT, make sure your doors are opening and closing from the outside and also the inside. And the reason being, the reason why this is a big failure, if you have an accident and you're inside and you're needing medical help and nobody can get in, okay, or if you have an accident and you're needing to get out quick, obviously if the door's no opening, you're stuck. Just say for instance you can't get the window down, you're stuck, so you need to make sure that these are all checked. Check your tailgate as well, and make sure that your bonnet is opening. Well, obviously we've established the bonnet opens in this, so we'll just go round here and obviously we'll check. Okay, so the tailgate's working perfect. So you want to be doing a wee walk round and have a look round your vehicle, just a visual inspection, see if there's any sharp edges or anything sticking out. Obviously look at the bottom as well, just in case there's any sharp edges. That'll also be a failure. Obviously visual inspection, see if you're not a mechanic or anything, you don't know what you're looking for, just have a look at your brake discs, right? Check the condition of them, right? Okay, so run your finger across. If it's nice and smooth, it's fine. That's a wee bit ribbed, but it's fine, it's passable. I'll show you the back one, which is ribbed a bit more than that. You would get an advisory for these, they wouldn't fail them, they would just advise them. These here ones are more ribbed at the back. Another failure would be obviously for emissions, if your vehicle is really smoky, like blue smoke or whatever. This here is fine, it's just condensation. But obviously if you go in to an MOT testing station and your vehicle is really smoky, it's not going to pass the emissions. So don't think about it, you'll need to get some sort of treatment put in your fuel, or go and see a mechanic about it. But obviously if you're presenting it to an MOT testing station and they fail it, you only get a certain amount of time to reset your MOT. From your failure, right, you get 10 working days to complete the work, and obviously bring it back. But if you're not a mechanic or anything, if you're not in the trade, I don't think they will allow you to leave the MOT testing station. You would need to get a mechanic to come and pick it up, because obviously you're at risk if you're driving with no MOT. Also, whenever you get into the vehicle to go to start, right, you want to make sure that there's no warning lights up on the dash, like engine management light, EPC, tyre pressures, anything like that. Obviously on this occasion its inspection is due, which is also getting done now anyway. You've got a message about the key battery, but obviously once these are done, obviously when you start it, everything goes off, But obviously you don't want any kind of warning lights up on the dash, so make sure that these are addressed before you produce it for an MOT as well. And obviously whenever you take it for an MOT, you need to make sure that there's no obstructions that'll get an MOT testing person's way, because they're not allowed to touch obstructions. They're not allowed to touch your vehicle in any kind of way with your personal belongings and that. So if you've got child seats or maybe your bags of groceries and that, move them off the seats, because they're not going to be able to test the seat belts because of that. Also your windscreen area, your side windows and that, make sure everything's clear. If you've got window tints, make sure they are the legal, within the legal limit for them. I think it's like 15%, I'm not sure. But this is the legal loophole with it, you know. It's one of them things. I think sometimes it can be at the tester's discretion, but it's better being safe than sorry. But yeah, obviously these are wee things that you can do at home. Check your vehicle over, and obviously at least you know that the majority of these here things are working. Obviously it's down to the MOT tester what he finds mechanically. But obviously this is good general maintenance and that. You shouldn't just do this here when it's coming up to the MOT. You should do this like every couple of weeks, and you'd be jamming, you know, you're keeping your car up to scratch. The likes of my vehicles, I check them every couple of days because they're out on the road all the time and they need to be kept in tip-top condition. Obviously you keep the vehicle in tip-top condition, it serves you well, you know. Obviously get them serviced within their intervals. I'm a firm believer getting them serviced maybe a couple of thousand miles before they're due, you know, because you want your vehicle running at its optimum performance as well. But yeah, we're going to go and we're going to take this wee A3 a run to see what yous, well, to see what I think. You know, it's a 1.4 TFSI. Okay, and to those of you that aren't aware of what a TFSI is, it's got a small turbo, right? It's got 150 brake horsepower as well. Quite a lively little engine. For such a small engine, it is quite lively. In comparison with the likes of the Vauxhall Corsa 1.4 turbo, this is hands down way more enjoyable to drive. It's very, very, very like solid on the road. Obviously with its kind of Volkswagen Audi feel, they're built to last. It feels quite strong, feels quite sturdy. Steering wheel's nice grip. The only thing that kind of puts me off these modern vehicles is there's far too much plastic. Everything's plasticky and kind of recycled in comparison to how it used to be back in the day. But obviously that's the way things are heading. Obviously you're paying more for less, but the general, like, I reckon on the general outline of it, it is quite a nice sturdy thing to drive. The seats are comfortable. It's got good lumbar support at the sides. Gear change is nice and smooth. It's nothing awkward. Everything is where it needs to be. You know, you're no struggling to find anything. It's got a nice head unit as well with the sat nav built in. I would say, I wouldn't say it's the most sportiest thing. Obviously everyone's got their own perceptions on what sporty is. I think on the other hand for this, it's, I don't know, a good wee A to B car, especially for the fuel economy as well. But aye, they seem to be a very decent all-round car. There's decent visibility. I think the rear view mirror, it's a bit piddly, it's a bit wee. I would say the legroom in the back, obviously with me in it being 6'6", obviously whenever I'm putting my hand back between the seat and my seat, is roughly that much legroom. Obviously I could put the seat forward and people would have kind of decent legroom in the back. It's not really a car built for me, is it? But obviously if it's just your A to B car for getting to and from work, it'd be a great wee car. So but the power's there when you need it. It's quite an attractive looking car, lovely lines on it, nice wheels. Obviously I like the colour black, but just when you own black cars it's an enthusiast colour, so you're needing to wash it all the time and the slightest little scratch shows up, which is a bit annoying. But I think they're decent little yokes, very modern. You can see a lot of the old A3, the older A3 in this, but obviously they have changed, you know. Obviously it's down to your perception on like what you think's nice and what you don't, but I think this here thing is pretty decent enough, and you have the kind of satisfying feeling that it's an Audi, you know. They are semi-way decent to tax and also insure as well, obviously with it being a 1.4. You know, I wouldn't say it's really friendly for the younger drivers, but obviously it's on the cheaper scale. But if you're looking to buy an A3, I would go for it. They seem to be sturdy enough.